Hey, this is Chris, back with a new game dev project. Up today, we're taking a look at Arcade Bike Physics by AshDev, available on the Unity Asset Store. I'll be using the bike model from the Polygon Street Racer pack and the demo scene from the Polygon Apocalypse pack, both from Synty Studios, to show off the pack in action. All the links for the packs I'm using will be available in the description. So let's jump straight in. So before we get started, we want to set up some of the presets that come with the pack. So you can see under Arcade Bike Physics and Project Settings, we have the Input Manager, the Physics Manager, and the Tag Manager. So if we head to Edit, Project Settings, under Input Manager, if we hit this little icon, we can import the presets. Same goes for the Physics, and then under Tags and Layers, and you can see here we get the bike body, wheels, and the drivable layers. To get things started, we'll jump into the demo scene that comes with the Arcade Bike Physics pack. And from the hierarchy, we'll just delete the bike that comes in the demo scene. So I'll be using the Polygon Street Racer pack, so just find a bike that you want to use and drag it into your scene. The first thing we want to do is unpack the prefab. Then we'll go ahead and remove any collision that may be on your bike. So the body here, and then the front and rear wheels. Then in my case here, this bike has a kickstand, so we'll just make sure we hide this. So to do this, we'll head to Tools, Arcade Bike Physics. For our bike preset, if we drag in the one without the rider, then we need to configure our vehicle. So we'll select the game object that has your bike body, the handlebars, your front wheel, rear wheel, the body mesh, so that's the parent game object of my vehicle here, and then either the front or rear wheel for the wheel mesh is fine. Then we'll hit Create Bike. So that's our basic bike ready to go. So if we hit play, you'll see it is now drivable. But unless you're making a Ghost Rider game, you're going to want to put a rider on your bike. So let's take a look at that now. So I'll go ahead and find the character that you want to use. In my case, I'll be using the Polygon Street Racer pack again, just a random character from that pack. We'll drag it in, unpack the prefab. So then under our character, for the animator controller, we'll just select the Biker Animations controller there. And if we just open the Biker Animations controller, under the settings, we'll just make sure the IK pass is selected, which you'll see the little icon here. So back onto our character, we'll add a component and a Biker Animation script. Then still with our character selected, if we head to Animation Rigging and Rig Setup, and then Animation Rigging and Bone Renderer Setup, then you can see the two components get added here to our character. Now if we just take a look under our character, you'll see Rig 1 has been added. We'll go ahead and reset the transform. Then under Rig 1, we'll go ahead and add two game objects, one called Root Rig and the other one Spine Rig. Then if we select Root Rig, add component, multi-parent constraint, and then we'll open up all the settings for this one. Then if we open up our bike, you can see root position target here, so we'll drag that under the source object. Then if we zoom in on our character, we want to select the hip bone. So we can just select the bone there to find where it is in the hierarchy. Then if we head back to the root rig, we'll drag in the hips as a constrained object. Now if we head to the spine rig, we'll add a component, a chain IK constraint. And again, we'll open up all the settings for this. Then under tip rotation weight, we'll change this to 0.5. So the bone we want to select now is just above the hips. In my case, it is spine 01. And you can see it'll allow us to tip our character while they're sitting on the bike. So if we head back to the spine rig on our character, and then we get our spine 01 or whatever yours may be called, and we'll drag that into the root. Then next up, we want to select the head for the basic rotation. So if we go back to our spine rig, we'll drag in head under tip. Then the last thing we need for this is a source object target. So if we scroll down under our bike, you can see the spine target. We'll drag that in. And the next thing we want to do is just fix up some rotations. So if we select our root position target and our hips, make sure they're both selected. And then we head to Animation Rigging, Align Rotation. And if we close up our character and our bike, head to Tools, Biker Animation Creator. And then if we drag in our character under Biker, and then our bike that we set up earlier, we'll drag that under Configured Bike. Then we'll press Configure Biker, and then we can close this. So now taking a look at our character, you can see he's not quite sitting where we want him to sit. So I'll just show you how to tweak some of these settings. So I'll go ahead and open up our bike. Under Bike Main, Body, you can see we have our character here. For the Biker Animation script, this is all the settings here that we can configure. But the first thing we'll want to do is the root position target. If we hit play, and then head back to scene, we can just get a bit of an idea on where exactly we want this to sit. So find a position that you think looks nice on the seat. And then we'll just copy position, and then we'll stop. And then we'll paste that position back in. So now that's the only real manual tweak that you'll need to make. So if we hit play again, and then we select our character, make sure you're on scene view, that's really important, otherwise it won't update. On the biker animation script of our character, you can see all of our settings here. So we'll start off with the hand separation, get that to roughly where you want that to sit. Then we can just change the roll of the character's hands. Then we can do the same for the legs, separation, and the roll. And then we have the target offset here for the spine, which will allow us to control how much our character sits up. Leans to the left and right as the default. Just find a setting that you think looks good for your character. Once you're happy with all your settings, make sure we just copy the component and then we'll stop. And then we'll paste the component values. So everything we've just changed in play mode will then be saved into our game. Now if we'll just test that out. And then back onto our bike, under the arcade bike controller, you can see we have the max speed, acceleration and turning, as well as all the curves that can be adjusted. Underneath the main game object of our bike, we have a Sphere RB game object. So changing this further back will make our bike less drifty. So if we want a more drifty bike, we bring it closer to the front. If we want a bit less drifting, then we take it further to the back. Alright, now jumping over to the Polygon Apocalypse pack by Synty Studios, I've dragged in my bike into their demo scene. Now the first thing we want to do is select our terrain and our ground, so anything that we want to be drivable. And for the layer, we'll just set that to drivable and change all the children objects. So everything that's under this will now be set as drivable. So a scene like this might need a bit more tweaking just to get all the collision how you want it. And before we take a look, the last thing I want to do, under our bike and the arcade bike controller, we'll just slow everything down a little bit. So the speed, max speed we'll set to 60, acceleration we'll set to 10, turning we'll set to 8. That wraps up the basic setup of the arcade bike controller for Unity. I hope you found the video useful. If you have any suggestions on future tutorial content, let me know in the comments or on my Discord. The link's in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back again soon with another game dev project.